So, what did you guys do this weekend? Did you guys practice whatever we have studied, everyone? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Have you guys practiced? Have you guys understood the Linux and virtualization concept?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So my next question is now who can give me the definition of cloud computing? What cloud computing is?
Yeah, let me try. I think cloud computing is a very it just simply means delivery of services through the internet, computing services through the internet. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else who would like to try? Anybody else? What cloud computing is?
Uh, I can say something.
Yeah, your voices, I think, can you speak loudly?
I said, I'll try.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
They said the cloud computing is is helping remove repetitive tasks that doesn't differentiate that help differentiate business from other businesses. This means simply means that with cloud computing we can accomplish more by focusing on what we are specializing on, and when the unnecessary work is done automatically.
Okay. Okay. That's really nice. Okay. Now let's break down these two terms. Okay. Cloud and computing. So if I talk about cloud, so what do you think? Why they have used it as a name cloud? Anyone?
That's because you're using somebody's data center as opposed to your own, like we used to have it.
Okay. How many of, I hope you guys understand the meaning of metaphor. Everyone?
Yes.
It's just an English word. We are not talking about any technical language. Just English language. Metaphor, you can say, is a word which is used in parallel to explain something which is considered as, let's say, global network. Let's say, so the cloud has meaning of global network. Now, what is global network? Which is internet. So, whatever computing we can perform, now we can perform over the internet on-demand service. So, the meaning of cloud is it is a metaphor for the global network. They want to specify that okay, you are using the internet computing right now. What are you using? You are using your computer. You are connected to the internet, right? But you have your own hardware in front of you. Am I right?
Yes.
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 Okay. So now let's talk about computing network, right? So, sorry, the computing part. So now specific aspect of computing, there are so many aspects of computing, right? So let's say there are many areas. So let's just understand there is computer networks, there is operating systems, there is programming, there is cybersecurity, sorry, sorry, there is data science, there is web development, there is database management, right? There hardware and computer architecture. So all these are the parts of you can say computing, which performs computing. So now, okay. So all of us know that let's suppose if I'm giving an instructor to my calculator, instruction to my calculator, 2 plus 2. So what will happen? And let's suppose if I say 2590 multiplied by 49. Okay. Now, I have one question that let's suppose if I give you a definition of cloud computing and I ask you to memorize it, and let's suppose for two learners, I will ask them to memorize it, and for other two learners in separate class, I will try to explain. everything about cloud computing. So what do you think? You can memorize for long period of time, or if you have understood the basics of it, the base understanding of it, so then you can retain the knowledge. So what do you think? You can memorize it, or you can learn the logic behind it. What can you do?
Learn the logic behind it.
Okay. Do you agree, George? Do you agree, Joseph? Everyone?
You can do both.
Okay.
Yes, I agree.
Because
Agree.
what happens? Because there is so much of information. Okay, Rajni. There is so much of information available over the internet, right? So we consume data on everyday basis. So even we don't know what we have consumed last day at this particular time, because we can't memorize. Our brain cannot process that much information and store it, right? What it can do, it can understand the logic and it will particularly perform it. Let's suppose now everybody here are able to understand English and are able to speak English language, right? So we haven't memorized every sentence that okay, yes, if this type of condition will coming, I will be speaking this. No, we have understood the basic. It is in us right now. If I'm sleeping and you wake me up, right, and you ask me to speak English, I will be able to do it because I haven't memorized it. I have learned it. I have learned every bit of it. That okay, how can I perform a logic to create a sentence, right? And I have practiced so much that it's very natural for me, for you, everyone. So the same way, why I am trying to say, because computer is not stored with all the results. So you will think that okay, this result is stored in computer, this result is stored in computer because computer can store everything. No, computer doesn't have all these things stored. They also know how to perform a logic. So when you give this instruction, this information will be sent to the CPU that this number has to be multiplied by this number because this is the operation multiplication, right? Now we have to give the end result here. So it will perform the whatever result and will give you the output. So that's what I'm trying to say. The hardware resource, which is allowing you converting your instructions into the final output, is known as computing. And that is possible because of we get the CPU, memory, storage device, right? Now all these things you can rent over the internet. You can create an on demand service and you can use the pay as you go model. So that's what cloud computing is all about. Cloud computing allows us to create resources over the internet on demand service. And what is on demand service? Let's suppose whenever I need it, right, I can create it. Whenever I want to stop it, I can stop it, and there won't be money if I have stopped it, if I've terminated my work. Only it uses the pay as you go model. Whatever you will pay, you just have to whatever you have used, you have to pay for that. Nothing extra. So this is what cloud computing means for the very basic understanding. So is there anybody who has any problem with this thing? Anyone with the basic understanding of cloud computing?
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think can we say cloud computing is similar to programming? For as far as I know, programming involves applying logic. And by your definition here, I say cloud computing is anything in computing which solve problem through logic.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any similarity or difference between cloud computing and programming now?
Okay, no, cloud computing is not like a programming language because programming language is something. Programming language is you have a logic. I mean, you write logic, you give instructions to the computer what it has to do, right? So you write a code to ask a computer that do this for me. Let's suppose you had a problem that okay, I want to watch movies online, right? I want users to watch movies online. So the Netflix guy, he thought of this idea, then he tried to work on this idea, and he created Netflix. So what was the condition? That he was having a problem. So he thought, I want to create an application that my computer can perform some task and I'll be able to stream the movies. So programming is to create a product. But here, what is required is the infrastructure, the computer, the CPU power, the memory power, right? The storage device, the database, all these components, a place to write a code, right? So all these places are, we can say, part of the cloud computing. It is not anything related to programming.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, how many of you know about internet? I guess everybody of us has an idea about what internet is, right? Hello.
We make use of internet on daily basis.
Yeah, we are using internet on the daily basis. So when we first encountered with the internet, right? So we all of us thought, right, that what a crazy thing internet is, right? So now the next evolution of of internet is cloud computing, because earlier you had to buy a hardware resource to use the computing power. You need to have the physical location to start a company, right? Do you guys agree?
Yes,
Okay. But now what happens that without even investing single penny, you can start your own company, because you don't need any physical location and you can start the bootstrapping company. Bootstrapping means you don't have to invest anything. You can still make ROI, return on your investment. And there is zero, we can say, return on investment. You just get the client, right? And you just create the product and you are done, right? So that's how IT, or you can say internet, is evolving nowadays, right? I don't know, so many of you are not speaking. I hope I'm able to explain it to you guys also. George, Joseph, Nana, everyone.
Yes. Yeah. I'm
Leslie.
following.
Okay. George, is it clear?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Leslie, Nana, Tajuddin.
yes,
Okay. Okay. That's nice. So that is the, we can say, evolution of the internet. Cloud computing is evolution of the internet. Who could have imagined that? Okay, yes, these kinds of things will be possible with we can say, sorry, the internet, right? So now this is cloud computing, right? Okay. Now, what do you think are cloud service providers in the market? What are the types of cloud, we can say, service providers available? Yeah, everybody has to write down into the chat whatever cloud service provider you know in the market.
AWS,
I
Azure,
want you guys to,
Google. Okay.
yeah, I want you guys to write down into the chat so that you guys can relate, or you guys can see afterwards as well. Okay, that's very nice. AWS, GCP,
from
GCP, George, GCP and Google Cloud is same. Okay, IBM,
Yeah, I was
Alibaba.
to put it in parentheses. Like,
Okay, okay,
yeah, and then that's why I saw later on.
okay, no problem. Spectrum, yeah. Okay, yeah. So there are multiple, we can say, cloud service provider, but there are three cloud service providers which are leading the market, which are the top three of the market, which is AWS, Azure, GCP. So you can say most of the organizations are working on this one, but AWS has the good, we can say, user base, as in they have, we can say, billions of users, and even whatever company I work with, mostly everybody is working with the AWS. Okay, and if you've learned AWS, then you can get a certification in AWS, and then it becomes your life. It makes your life easy. Then you can learn any sort of, we can say, cloud service provider. Even if you want to learn Google Cloud Platform, it will be easy. If you want to learn Azure, it will be very easy. So I would always recommend that if you are a beginner, start with the AWS, because if you will create a foundation on AWS, then even you can get a job also, and then to learn about Azure and GCP also, your life will be easy. Okay, so now this is about cloud computing and the particular this thing, cloud service providers. Now, I want you to understand, or help me understand, that according to you, what is the roadmap to become a cloud engineer, or what are the jobs which are available for the cloud engineer? I'm so sorry. Today's class will be like mostly theory, because we need to understand the concepts also. That whatever we are doing is relatable, and we need to know what it is. So sorry. Okay. So anyone who can help me understand?
You asked what jobs can you get as a cloud in the cloud, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. There's cloud project manager, and there's also solutions architect.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask, what if you are just complete beginner? What job role you will get? I will help you guys understand that as well, right? Cloud engineer. So if you are a beginner, so you might get a role like junior cloud engineer, right? Junior support cloud engineer, right? So this particular responsibility you might get. In this, you will be building, designing, and implementing the AWS or Azure or any cloud service provider task. You will be working with manager. You will be like shadowing people, what they are doing, what you can do, right? So that kind of task. And the average salary, if I talk about in US dollars, will be like this USD 1,02,000 approx. This is the average salary of a cloud engineer, right? We can say graph is can go higher and graph can go lower as well, depending on your skills. But this is the average salary on the global base, right? Yearly, I'm talking about. Then let's suppose you have worked for like 1 year and 1.5 year, right? Then it makes you a little expert because now you know how to design, how to create something in cloud computing. Then you can become or you can start the path of solutions architect. Now, what is the job of solutions architect? Solution architect's job will be to understand the business requirement and the cloud computing technology also. So, cloud architect, it involves business plus technical. Now, what is business? Let's suppose if I am someone who wants to create some XYZ project. Now, what happened is that I wanted to particularly create something, and I came to you, and I don't have any idea about technology. So I will come to you and I will say, okay, I need something where I can store my information. I want to do this. I want to do that. Now, as a solutions architect, you have to take this instructions, analyze it, and convert into technical terminology. That what words or what services I can use for this condition, right? So that's why you need to have a lot of experience working in cloud to become a solution architect because you know for what condition you have to use which service, and also you need to use service cost effectively, and you will be working on designing, building, creating requirements, creating the whole roadmap that the cloud engineer will implement the whole thing. Okay. Average salary you can say is 1,50,000 US dollar. I'm just talking about the average salary. The graph can go very higher, right? So after 1.5 year or 1 years of experience, some people get it done in 6 months also. But if you are giving 100% and if you try to work on cloud computing surveys, understand all the requirements and whatever you are working on, and you are completely reflecting on whatever you are learning. Reflection is very important because if you are, let's suppose, doing XYZ thing, right? You need to know why am I doing what's the output from this, what will happen if I don't do it, right? So we need to ask these questions to ourselves to gain more knowledge around it. Okay. Then you think that okay, I am someone who wants to become a developer, who are more interested in development. So you can become a cloud developer. And you think, okay, I'm just interested in administrator task. You can become a cloud administrator, right? You think I'm into more into cyber security. I want to get into cyber security. So you can work as a cloud security engineer as well, cloud DevOps engineer as well. So these are the components which are specialized, but these are the main job role for the cloud computing. Okay, is it clear, everyone? If anybody has any sort of question, I will be happy to help anyone.
Yeah, I want to add that we also have site reliability engineer.
Sorry.
I was just thinking of another job title like the site reliability engineer, SER
Which,
engineer,
which engineer? SRE.
site reliability engineer,
Yeah, yeah.
SER.
I mean, those roles are there before the cloud computing as well. That
Okay.
whatever site, whatever is running, will be there. So you can give different names around it, but the same job will be done by the cloud engineer also. The site reliability engineer is also have to make sure whatever services and everything is running fine, right? And he or she needs to perform those tasks to execute the, we can say, pipeline or the infrastructure. So that our cloud administrator, our cloud engineer will be doing the same type of a task. There are multiple roles, with the multiple name. You will hear cloud analyst, you will hear cloud project manager. So yes, it means you just need to have a basic idea about cloud and you can do anything. You can become a cloud sales person, right? Who just understand clouds and who can work in a software company which sells their software, which sells software. So then it will be, if you have an understanding about cloud, so then you can make your client understand why you should buy this particular product. So there are multiple roles, but if you wholly, or you can say from your heart, you are interested in cloud computing, so I would recommend you to become a cloud architect, which will make you earn good money and you can start anything on your own. Okay, I
As
hope
a
that
cloud
was
architect, one can stand on it on our own.
sorry.
I say, as a cloud architect, he said that one is
Yeah.
better than the other two. Because one can be on his or her own.
No, no, cloud architect is better, but for this you need to have a good amount of experience working on AWS or Azure or Google Cloud Platform, because you need to understand the business perspective behind it as well. That if I use this service, how much would it charge? How can I create the whole infrastructure which costs less, right? So it depends. You just have to give your time and your energy to the technology, and you can become the cloud architect as well. It is not, we can say, mystery or magical that okay, somebody knows the formula to become cloud architect. No, the simple formula is spend your time mostly on technology, and you'll be able to understand what this is, what that is. Okay. So now,
Okay.
okay, that's really nice. Now let's suppose we are learning AWS here, right? So now if somebody wants to learn anything or somebody wants to know anything about service of AWS, so what do you think? What do you guys think is the best resource for understanding about any service? From where can we understand, or if we have to read anything about, let's suppose, any service, where can we do that? So I would recommend always refer to the documentation of AWS. Don't believe in any other source from the internet. AWS documentation, Azure documentation, whatever cloud service provider you are using, CSP, cloud service provider. So go to their documentation. Let's suppose if there is service XYZ. So to understand what XYZ does, you have to go to the documentation part of it. I know theory becomes sometimes very boring, but whatever basic information you want to get, you can get it from the documentation, and that will increase your knowledge. It won't affect anything, but it will increase your knowledge only. Then you go and try to perform the practical around it, and then you will see the results. Okay. Okay. Now let me share my another screen. Just a minute. Okay. How many of you have an account on AWS? Everyone.
I think I
I
do.
do. I do too.
Okay. Man also has it. Tajdeep, do you have an account?
Yes.
Okay, that's really nice. If anybody who doesn't have an account, they can ask. Or simply what you guys have to do is I've pasted a URL into the chat. Okay, so that URL, Joseph and Joseph, are you just do you have any question or just for the you have raised hand for just saying yes?
I would say yes.
Okay, that's nice. Thank you. Okay, that's really nice. No problem. I've pasted the URL. If somebody who is not aware about, you can say, the thing that have to create it, so you just have to create account by going on the sign up page of AWS, and you will be able to create it. So let us understand what is cloud computing according to AWS. So, according to AWS, cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of computer power, database, storage applications, right? And what other things?
Excuse me, can you please increase the size and font?
Okay, just a minute, just a minute. Give me a minute. Just a second. Just. I hope this is good now. Is site better? That's deep.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay. Okay. So now let us understand that cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of computer power, database, storage, applications, and other IT resources through a cloud service platform via the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. Okay, that's what we have understood. That everything, every computing we can say service we can think of, or the aspect of computing we can think of, we can create it over the we can say internet with a pay-as-you-go pricing model. Okay. Whether you are running applications that share photos to millions of mobile users, or you are supporting the critical operations of your business, a cloud services platform provides rapid access to flexible and low cost IT resources. With cloud computing, you don't need to make large upfront investment. Large upfront investment in hardware. What do you mean by that? What used to happen that in the traditional computing environment, they had to create or they had to buy the physical location so that they can set up the hardware, the data center, right? And spend so that was the upfront cost to start a business. And spend a lot of money on the heavy lifting of managing that hardware. To be able to manage that part of hardware, that big hardware, we had to invest so much. But instead, you can provision exactly the right type and size of computing resources you need to power your newest, bigger, you can say, bright idea or operate your IT department. So whatever idea you have, now you don't have to invest that particular, you can say, amount of money. You can access as many as resources you need almost instantly and play and only pay for what you use, right? So that is what the meaning of you can say cloud computing according to the AWS. Cloud computing provides a simple way to access servers, storage, databases, and a broad set of application services over the internet. Now, a cloud service platform such as Amazon Web Services owns and maintains the network connected, we can say hardware required for these applications services, while you provision and you want and use what you need via the web application. Okay, now, let us see some of the advantages of we can say cloud computing. Now, how many of you know about the elasticity? Or let us say we have the real cloud, right? Real life cloud, which we can see on the sky. So, what is the biggest properties of a we can say cloud? Cloud is formed filled with the water, right? If anybody knows the science behind it, so cloud which we are able to see in the sky is made up of water. It can store as much as water you want and it can be as small as you want, right? So the elasticity. So this benefit of elasticity makes the biggest advantage that cloud can also be elastic. It can stretch to we can say bigger aspects and we can say compress to the smaller aspects. How many of you know about the rubber band, right? You know there is a thing as a rubber band which is very elastic in a way, right? I hope everybody knows about rubber band. Hello.
Yes,
Okay. Now let's say there are 12 pens and there are 100 pens. If I have to wrap that rubber band around 12 pens, I have to fold it for 2 or 3 times and then put it over the pen. But if I have 100 pens, so then I have to stretch it a little bit and put it there. So it is able to do both the tasks for the bigger, we can say, resources also and for the smaller resources also. So that benefit is known as elasticity. So if somebody asks what is the biggest advantage of using cloud computing, so what can you say? Elasticity. And what is elasticity? Anyone? Now you know what example you have to give. I hope you guys are we can say good with that.
Yes.
Okay. Instead, now these are the advantages: trade fixed expense for variable expense. Instead of having to invest heavily in the data centers and servers before you know how you're going to use them, you can pay only when you consume computing resources and pay only for how much you consume. Okay, trade fixed expense for variable expense. Right, benefit from the massive economic of scale. By using cloud computing, you can achieve a lower variable cost than you can get from your own because usage of hundreds of thousands of customers is aggregated in the cloud. Providers such as AWS can achieve higher economics of scale, which translates into lower pay-as-you-go prices. Stop guessing the capacity. Let's suppose you have the project. Let's suppose need to implement something. So what you have to do is you have to assume that okay, I will get this much of data so that I can perform these operations. But what if on the first day only your application becomes bigger, or you have expected 10 users according to the hardware resources which you have used, the planning you have used, but massively thousands of users are coming. So in that particular terminology, so your infrastructure should be automatically scaling the resources. So that is what it makes interesting because you don't have to assume the capacity. You can do the unexpected as well. Increase in the speed and agility. Stop spending money running and maintaining data centers. Go global in minutes. If you want to work globally, so that you can also do in the fraction of minutes. Okay. I hope is it clear? Now,
Yes, that's clear.
what are the types of computing, right? Or we can say what are we can say deployment models of cloud computing. There is public cloud, there is private cloud, there is hybrid cloud. How many of you know about all these names? Everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's really nice. That's really
Yes.
nice. Public cloud, private cloud, and the hybrid cloud. So we will understand about these names also, but I feel it will be too much of a theory today to do it. Okay. So tomorrow we will understand the deployment model and the service models. So what is service models? You would have heard of IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, AAS, PaaS, SaaS, right? Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Okay, what these are the we can say service models and deployment models are public, private, and hybrid cloud. We will understand what these names are referring to. Don't take too much stress about it because theory is anytime you can go and check over the internet. There are so many good resources available, so you can learn from there anytime. So don't worry about that. The most important thing is what services we are going to learn. You have to focus on that. Okay, computing services, networking services, storage services, database services, right? And you can say programming services. We are going to use all these things in cloud computing and going to make best out of it. So I hope everybody is clear about that. If anyone has any sort of question right now, they can ask. Any doubt if you guys have, you can ask, right? Anyone? And now, most of you will be wondering, that, Harsh, why did we learn Linux operating system? Because we have to learn about the CLI as well. That whatever resources we are creating, how can I create with the command line also? Okay? Yes, George, Steve, Joseph, Tajudi. Anyone has anything to say?
Yeah. Uh, you just mentioned the type of services that we can uh, that cloud can actually provide, like the cloud as a platform, software as a service. So,
Yes.
and I usually see I usually see some job description talking about solution cloud uh, solution architect, platform solution architect, software solution architect. So, is that what you're referring to when you were talking about software as a service?
No, these are the service models that, okay, what kind of services we can perform through the cloud computing. Let's suppose in traditional computing system, you are a developer. So what all things you have to do? You have to manage the operating system. You will turn on your system. You will install all the dependencies. Let's suppose if I ask you to use Python, what you will do? You will install the Python on machine. Now you will see where I can actually write the code. Then you have decided that. Then you have to manage the plugins and everything. So there is a too much a hassle for a developer. But cloud computing has made life easy that if you're a developer and if you want, we can say platform as a service. So we will give you a platform, you just use it and start typing your program. Just select the language, which language you want to use, and just go ahead with your project. We don't want you to manage the underlying operating system or the hardware. So what kind of services we can get using the cloud computing? So these are the three models. Infrastructure refers to the whole infrastructure. Let's suppose if you want to reach from A location to B location, George, in general I'm asking, that you want to go from Austin to India, or let's suppose from Austin to any place in USA which you can think of, Dallas. Let's say Dallas you want to go. So what are the possible ways you can take to reach there?
Uh, I can fly. I can
Okay.
drive.
Yeah. So yes, so these are the ways you can reach that particular point. So the same way here, we need to understand that what particular process is we can say correct for the requirement. So we will understand these are the type of services to achieve some tasks. We have different types of services. So to for you to reach from A location to B location, so you need to have an infrastructure. It means if you're using a car, you should have a car to go from A to B. You should have a flight. For that, for a car, you need to have a road from between A to B location. If you're flying, so flight destination should be available. Flight should be allowed in that particular, we can say, zone. So that particular thing which is being created for you is an infrastructure. You're using car, you're using airplane, but there is a proper infrastructure to reach from A to B, right? There is road. Let's take an example of if you're driving. So there is a road from A location to B location, which makes your life easy. So the same way, if you want to create something in cloud computing or in general, so you need to first of all create a road. That if somebody wants to reach there, so how can they smoothly travel on that road? Infrastructure means the underlying of hardware. Everything you will be configuring. Then comes into the picture platform as a service. It means if somebody is a developer and if you just want to give them the platform to handle, we don't want them to install everything by themselves. We just give them the place and they just have to start writing the code and execute it. Then we have software as a service. So there is a software which is going to help you in terms of a service. Let's think of a Microsoft 365, Google Workspace. So all these are the part of we can say software as a service. Somebody created a software, now you're using it repetitively just for the service purpose. Okay.
Okay.
I will I will talk about it in more details tomorrow. But just to give you the basic understanding, I hope I've made my points clear. If not, try to watch the recording, try to go through the internet that what we can understand with internet we can say the service model, deployment model, cloud computing. So you need to create a passion about understanding all these things. Then only you will be able to retain the knowledge around it. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I'll share this URL of this AWS also, where you can actually read these documentation. So trust these, we can say, documentation instead of going on Google anywhere and searching for anything. Because nowadays internet is easy to access. It means if I am someone who has a very less idea about cloud computing and I can write anything over the internet. So that's not a useful information. But here if something is written on the AWS, so it means there is a team of engineers, there is a team of experts who are sitting there to provide you this sort of information. So you can be, we can say blindly believe in them and understand the technology. So tomorrow, be ready with your AWS accounts. If somebody doesn't have the AWS account, make sure you create it. And once you will create it, we will start using it. Okay.